if he can follow up those discard spells with Unholy Annex, his most powerful card in the deck, the demon Phyrexian Arena effect, and then he could be primed to run away with a game and sort of accumulate enough resources before the Bant mill player can actually
win the game.
Mill him out.
Okay. Yeah. So the discard spells aside, obviously 8 discard spells, that's a curveball, but those discard spells aside, this is the type of matchup you want to play against if you bring a blue-white control, splash green, kind of a mill deck that's pretty slow. You want to play against a slower mid-range deck, right? That's exactly the type of matchup you want to play. You don't really want to play against mono red with mill cards, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm sure that those 8 discard spells are certainly gonna
help. Oh yeah,
make at least the matchup competitive for Giordano.
All right, looks like game 1 is underway. Quick reminder, this is the Regional Championship Bologna Round 4, and the top 36 players are going to qualify for Pro Tour Atlanta, which is going to be modern, and it's going to be the Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. So the game is underway, and we have one of those discard spells here on turn 2. It's the Cruel Claws Heist.
Choosing to not bargain it, or gift it, sorry, not bargain, gift. So he could have chosen to give him a card, and then he would have been able to cast that card, but he doesn't want to cast many cards from the deck, so that's probably a good call. And now he's taking a look at a lot of removal spells, 2 rights and an Elspeth Smite, and the Glacial Siege, which is essentially being played here for free mana as a, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you mill 4 cards. I think that's the Teemo version of the card, and that does do the trick. I guess it's reminiscent. What was that? Free mana enchantment back in the days. Free mana. Whenever you drew a card, you mill like 2 cards from your
Sphinx's Tutelage. Yeah.
Similar to that in a way.
There was a blue-red deck like that in Standard too, if I remember correctly.
Michael Majors won a GP with that. I do remember that. And yeah, in addition to those free copies, he has 3 copies of Riverchurn Monument and 4 copies of Jace. And yeah, I mean, Jace has that -2 ability that draws some cards, so that's really powerful, of course, if a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it. So that is some extra nice synergy with all the mill.
Yeah, Riverchurn Monument also limited All-Star. When I first saw Ether Drift and the speed mechanic, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a really fast set, right? Mill cards, yeah, that's probably not going to work. Yeah, that ended up working a little differently, and it was a limited all-star of that set for sure. Here we have Giordano following up with a turn 3 Preacher. That's definitely one of his better cards against a control deck. Anything that creates card advantage, that's exactly what he's looking for, but Daniela has a lot of ways to remove that, so let's see if he follows up by playing the Siege, or if he has anything to proactively remove the Preacher. He does play the Siege here.
I like that. I think he can take the 2 damage from the Preacher, and that extra mill 4 that he's gonna get from the right end seems kind of nice. He could get punished by a top deck discard spell. He knows there's 7 more in the deck. But yeah, that's I guess the major punishment.
Yeah. That's basically his I don't want to say engine, but his way of winning the game, right? Like put the Siege on the battlefield. The black deck's not really good at removing that, so now you're set up for the long game. The 2 damage is not not the end of the world, and yeah, if the opponent draws an extra card, that actually sort of works in your favor. So not too bad.
Absolutely. Every draw step a little dopamine kick. You're getting closer to milling yourself, my friend. The Preacher getting in there, getting both triggers because the players are at the same life total, and we're looking at 2 more Preachers and an Unholy Annex in the hand.
If you do play with Preacher, something you can do if you have Pain Lands, you can sort of manipulate the trigger. Sometimes you can use the Pain Land yourself before you attack to deal yourself 1 point of damage, so that the Preacher gives you an extra trigger. Make sure you take that into account.
I do think I like playing. I mean, I think both plays are really good here, but there's 4 sweepers in Daniela's deck. But Giordano has just seen his hand and there was no sweeper, so I don't mind actually playing a Preacher here. If I would have less information about Daniela's hand, I would definitely play the Annex. But I think upping the pressure a little bit with another Preacher is good, considering even if there's a Day of Judgment here, it's obviously, it hurts, but you still do have Annex and another Preacher in hand, so it's not that backbreaking. And Giordano goes with that play.
Paw Patch Formation.
That's a 2-of in the main deck.
That's an interesting main deck card.
Gonna be useful here against that Annex, I suppose, down the line.
Yeah.
Oh, and choosing to kill, of course, the Preacher right now, so there's no further attack trigger before passing the turn.
Mill 4, all right. So we are getting started on milling that library. Second Blast Zone is the draw for Giordano. Yeah, I gotta say, playing Ryzen's without having Up the Beanstalk in play, not as exciting as when you're drawing the extra card.
That's fair. It's still a pretty good card.
I mean, you do get to mill 4 here, but
yeah,
I like drawing cards. I'll say that.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I really like that Giordano's making good use of his colorless land slots here with the Sanctuaries, some blast zones. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's the upside of playing mono black, right? You get to play some utility lands. 5th land for Giordano, and let's see what he has here. Remember, this is an open deck lists event, right? So Giordano knows that. Are there any sweepers?
Yeah, there's 3 Day of Judgment, 1 Sunfall.
Okay.
He knows about those. He saw his hand, but he doesn't know. He just knows the Elspeth Smite, I think, at this point. So 2 unknowns for him, and he's gonna go with a 6/6 Demon. Really
I like this.
Nice against the Paw Patch Formation. Really nice. He's always gonna get that Demon, right? Daniele trying to see maybe if he can disrupt the Demon with the Paw Patch.
Or maybe kill the enchantment before it makes a token, something along those lines. Probably not.
Yeah, he can't. The trigger is gonna happen regardless. It's an into the battlefield trigger that's going onto the stack. But yeah, I mean, he can choose to kill the Demon now, but that will leave the Annex behind.
Whenever you're not sure, raise a hand, call a judge. They're here to help you.
Yes.
Sometimes people, like this is an international tournament, people sometimes have foreign cards, foreign versions of the cards in different languages. Call a judge, let them explain to you exactly what it does, how does the interaction work. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have questions. We all, Magic is such a complicated game, so many different interactions that this is just
absolutely.
Regular stuff.
When I'm not quite sure, I always call judge. Just the one thing I would say there, the way Daniele did it, I would have asked the judge, hey, can we step away from the table a little bit?
Do not give away.
Yeah, because he kind of showed the card in his hand to the judge immediately, and then Giordano can pick up on what he has. He showed it right away anyhow.
Right.
It didn't matter here, but just a minor thing.
Okay, so Unholy Annex on the battlefield. Paw Patch Formation takes care of the Demon. I like Giordano's approach of just, pressuring Daniele. This is not a matchup you're going to win by sitting back and slow rolling and sandbagging some of the creatures and just attacking for 2 or 3 at every turn. That way you're just giving your opponent so much time that they're going to be able to execute their own game plan with ease.
Absolutely.
But looks like Daniele is down to 1 card, so just that 1 Elspeth Smite, which I think Giordano knows about from the early discard spells.
Yep, but those 2 sieges are pretty scary.
Yeah.
The best card probably for Daniele to draw, one of the best cards he could draw, is Stock Up at this point in time. Mill 8, hopefully find 2 more spells, be able to mill for 8 twice again. And then we see the Smite being cast, just preserve some life total, get that trigger in. Milling 8 more cards. Another card that would be pretty awesome here is Jace, because I think we are probably at the threshold of having that triggered. I think we have more than 16 cards, at least from the Siege milled. We have a discard spell cast. Yeah, so if Jace comes down, Daniele would also draw 3 cards with the -3.
How much card draw does Daniele have? How much card selection?
Well, he has 4 Stock Up and 4 Jace. Those are the main ones. And he has also 4 free steps ahead.
Okay, that's a decent amount. Stock Up has been such a good card.
Yeah.
Like when it came out, yeah, another divination, not that great, but it's so much better than that. It's kind of like a standard legal dig through time.
It is, and you can cast it on turn 3 to set up your game plan.
Yeah.
Dig for a Time was always, or at least in Standard, you couldn't cast it that early, so it was like this late game refill effect. But Stock Up can actually save you, especially in the blue-white deck that I used at the Pro Tour, where, you know, find your Beza, find your Day of Judgment, and then cast it on turn 4. That's a pretty big graveyard. I think we have like 30 cards, around 30 cards left in the library. So something like a River Churn Monument would also be able to exhaust the mill for like 19 at this point. I think we have around that number in the graveyard right now.
17 in the graveyard, if my count 17? Was right.
All right.
Yeah, plus what's in play. We have 7, 8. Yeah.
Oh my God! We just noticed. Well, the Blast Zone has been put on free.
Yep.
Just now at end of turn by Giordano. I love that. And now he's probably gonna say goodbye to his own Preacher. He's done enough work. He has to leave the battlefield together with those Glacier Wood Sieges, I would presume.
Yeah, that's got to be worth it, right?
Yeah, it has. I think so.
We're still dying to Jace and the Monument, kind of, but yeah, you're also just dying to a top deck Stock Up, pretty much. So.
Oh, he's going to gift this time. That's from guessing. Oh no, he is not going to gift. Okay, that's just a land.
Make sure the coast is clear.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's the Blast Zone activation. So that takes care of both of the Glacier Wood Sieges. And Daniel is down to a land in hand and 5 lands in play. So let's see if he's going to be able to draw one of the mill cards before Giordano manages to play more creatures.
Yeah, and the Annex is a 5-mana permanent right now because it was cast as the Ritual Chamber.
That is something I would ask the judge about, for example, because these things are always confusing.
Yeah, for sure they are, with those rooms and the mana cost on them. If it would be cast as an Unholy Annex, then it would have been had to remove it as well.
Yeah, doing a quick graveyard check again.
Yeah, seeing what's still left in your deck.
Yeah, look at that hand. Giordano has so much removal, but this is exactly why Daniele brought a deck which basically doesn't play creatures, right? In the main deck, you are targeting these decks with so much removal. Mono red or these red prowess decks are so popular in the format that everybody has so much removal, which means that bringing a deck with no creatures, that's going to make your opponent, you know, half of their cards sort of irrelevant in the game. So I like that approach.
Yep.
At the same time, I'm not fully convinced that the Bant mill deck has a good matchup against Mono Red, but if you can dodge Mono Red in the first couple rounds and then get paired against the decks that are supposed to beat up on Mono Red, that could be a good strategy.
Absolutely. Certainly some matchups that are very good. All
right, Day of Judgment is the play for Daniela here. Deals with the Demon and passes the turn back. Remember that Giordano still also has that Sanctuary, so you know he's a couple attacks away from just activating that every turn. Oh wait, no, that's the one you need to activate just once, right?
All right, then you'll already, you have to activate it once, then it becomes a
yeah, that's right.
Sort of like mutable. It has all creature types. It works very well with Unholy Annex.
What was the land back in the day? Was this Stalking Stones? That was it was 6 mana to activate. It was 3/3.
Oh my god, yeah. It was like a tapped colorless land or something. Or was it untapped?
Yeah, I think it was a colorless land. It was in that Randy Bueller's deck, the mono blue deck with like 36 counter spells and 24 lands and 1 creature playable. Or something.
That's such a bad card. All right, we get good usage of mana here. Preacher plus Unholy Annex. Draw a card. The 6/6 demons have been taken care of it, so the clock is somewhat short. So, yeah, Daniele, he's sitting on a siege.
He's just looking for that Stock Up. Like Stock Up is a card he's praying to draw every single turn.
Yeah.
Siege is nice, but yeah, you just want that card selection and you want to just find more gas, chain the card draw spells.
To be fair, the River Churn Monument exhaust off the top would also
that would be
I don't know. I don't think it's quite enough yet, but it's close.
Oh my god!
And, if I were Giordano, I would actually try to play around that by not casting more, by not putting more cards in my graveyard if I can avoid.
Right.
So for example, casting the Duress, if that leads to being closer to a River Churn Monument, then maybe I shouldn't have. You know what I mean? Like maybe you shouldn't have done that. But yeah, he just wants to make sure. And now he has a 2-turn clock. So against an Adaka Waste in hand, this is 5 damage coming across, plus the Annex draining for 2 end of turn.
Okay.
So Daniele has to draw something right now.
Look at Giordano's hand. I think there was 2 copies of Go for the Throw. There was a Shieldred's Edict. I think there was a Cut Down or Shoot the Sheriff as well.
Yeah, I think both of them, yeah. Classic. There's no targets in the other deck. Not even a man land to get. Literally 0. Oh, you can Shieldred's Edict to chase.
Oh, that's true. The utility lands, the colorless lands in Giordano's deck, though, coming in clutch in this game.
Absolutely. I love the choice there. Blast Zone is an effect that mono black doesn't have to remove like stuff like Curry Steelcutter, stuff like enchantments that well. And Blast Zone comes in to do that. Very nice one for the deck.
Wow. And yeah, Daniele doesn't draw anything that he can play, no more action, and he concedes. So somehow Giordano was able to take game 1 despite all the removal that he drew. He did have the discard spells; those were really good. But I would say that Daniele also, his deck kind of didn't really fail. He was able to set up the sieges, play some spells, but he never drew a card draw spell, and that was
the main problem. Like when you play those sieges, you do need to chain those card draw spells, otherwise you just don't have enough, right? He's not playing Opt, he's not playing Sleight of Hand, so he needs those big card advantage spells to continue milling his opponent.
How do you approach a matchup like this if you see your opponent's main deck with 8 discard spells? How do you approach mulliganing? I remember from back in the days playing against Junt when they always played, Thoughtseize and Inquisition of Kozilek. I hated mulliganing against that deck. They also had Liliana of the Veil, because you don't really want to go down on resources, but at the same time, you don't also really want to keep a 2-lander, on the play, because what if you don't have a 3rd land? How do you approach this, these strategies or the mulligan decisions against decks with so many discard spells?
My usual strategy would be that I would keep hands that aren't maybe as fast or consistent, but that have multiple good cards, strong cards, like a 4-lander with 2 high-end, high-impact cards, or even I would want to mulligan either I keep those hands with Stalk Up, etc., or I also am more fine keeping low land hands to have a high density of spells.
Okay.
So it's like one or the other essentially, and prioritizing less a curve, more power in your hand, density of spells. Having less lands is okay, or having more lands but highly powerful spells.
Okay.
And less on the consistency, less on the curve. Focus on that. Yeah.
Let's take a look at the sideboards here.
Exactly.
So, what do you want to start with? Mono red, mono black, or Bant?
Sure, we can talk about mono black. So yeah, Giordano has a lot of cards to take out. All those removal spells. Daniele, it's open deck list. Daniele doesn't even have creatures to side in besides Obstinate Bailiff, which I don't think is going to come in here because there's no Liliana of the Veil on the other side. So yeah, there's really no usage for those Go for the Throats and whatnot. So he wants to bring those 2 Withering Torments in. He has for the Glacierwood Siege, of course, and then he has Gix's Command he can bring in. He really doesn't have a lot. And then he has a Lord Skitter, Sewer King, and then he has those 3 Quasi Revenant, a new variant of Vampire Nighthawk that's really powerful. Also kind of neat against the mill opponent because it does have Renew, but the ability of Death Touch, Lifelink, and Flying, not very relevant here. None of them actually. But nonetheless, I mean, he has some extra creatures to bring in and those Withering Torments. No more discard spells, no Planeswalkers.
Liliana would be nice here.
Liliana would be pretty good, yeah.
If Reed Duke would have a Liliana in his sideboard.
100%.
Or in his main deck.
At least he has 8 cards to bring in and 8 cards to take out, from what I can tell here. On the other side, we're looking at 4 Negate, 4 Obstinate Bailiff, 3 Authority of the Consuls, 3 Heritage Reclamation, and 1 Sunfall on the sideboard. I think the interesting ones here are Negate, Heritage Reclamation, and Sunfall. Reclamation can blow up the Annex and can draw a card, cycle itself, and Negate can counter one of those discard spells, can counter an Annex. None of them feel exceptional because they are situational. Negate has 12 solid targets, some of them very cheap, so it's a little bit better on the play than on the draw. So I may on the play board in a couple Negates, but not on the draw because it's harder to get the 2-mana discard spell. And then the Heritage Reclamation, I mean, it's just a fine card. Just, you know, cycle and destroy things. Sunfall seems decent. Looking at the main deck, I would certainly look to shave some of those Elspeth Smites. They seem rather narrow here. They don't hit a lot. They might be good against some of the sideboard cards coming in. The free freeze from the Quasi-Variant and the Lord Skidder. But they're very not very good against the main deck cards. So Sunfall's coming in, maybe a couple Reclamation and then a couple Elspeth Smite out. Not much to side out here, I suppose.
I want to just quickly touch on something you mentioned when talking about the mono black sideboard, and that was that the mono black player had Giordano had 8 cards to board out, and he also had 8 cards to bring in. That's not a coincidence. When you're building your sideboards, you know, not everybody is a competitive player. Maybe, you know, you haven't played that many constructed tournaments. Make sure the numbers add up so that you have the right numbers of cards you want to board out. Sure, there's going to be a control deck I'm going to play against. I have these 8 removal spells I really want to board out because they don't do anything in the matchup. I need to have 8 cards to bring in from the sideboard. I really don't want to keep, you know, cut downs in my deck because those are going to be actual blanks, right? So when you're approaching building your sideboard, make sure that you have this in mind where you always have the right amount of cards to take out and the same number of cards to bring in from the sideboard for these matchups. It's easy to see, you know, Mono Red doing well in the format and just instantly put 8 cards against Mono Red in your sideboard. But then you realize, oh, wait, I don't really have 8 cards to board out. Like, how do I, you know, what do I do? Do I just leave 3 of these really good cards against Red in the sideboard? That doesn't make sense. So make sure first you go over all the matchups and how these numbers add up before fully submitting your sideboard.
Lessons by Martins here for free. Wow, I mean that's really good stuff. And I mean I do coaching myself, and a lot of people struggle sideboarding, and oh, look at that!
Ooh,
actually,
Ghost Vacuum.
Started.
Okay.
Ghost Vacuum.
I mean, I remember doing that when I was younger. I was scribbling down deck lists in my notepad, you know, during classes, and I would always put 8 anti-mono red cards in the sideboard right away, and then it would just never add up. So yeah, those are definitely good lessons. Keep that in mind. But game 2 is underway. Ghost Vacuum from Giordano, and now there's a Duress looking at Jace. There's a Day of Judgment and 2 copies of Paw Patch Formation.
3 lands in total. The Jace being able to cast here on turn 3, draw a card immediately, and then be a little bit annoying with the +1 giving a creature of Giordano -3/-0. I think that's the prime target for the Duress here. He'll make sure to play around Day of Judgment going further, or I see a Crew Clause high, so you can take the Day of Judgment later down the line if he wants to. Daniele just choosing to cycle here. Ghost Vacuum is interesting. I haven't really thought about that one. It is quite nice for 2 reasons, I guess. Well, quite nice is maybe an over-exaggeration, but it has use cases.
Right.
The 6-mana ability can get some of Giordano's creature back.
Okay.
Like after the sweeper effect, after exiling his own creatures, right, from his graveyard and then getting them back. And the other effect it does is it is good against the exhaustibility of Riverchurn Monument.
And Jace.
Oh, Jace too, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Good point.
And there's stock up, so that's the card Daniele wants to see every game, and he wants to see multiple copies. And it was at the perfect position. It was at the perfect position in his deck. It was right after he got duressed. Yeah. It was waiting for him at the top of his deck. So stock up is the play, and I think he found another one. So he's setting up pretty well for the rest of the game.
What's better than finding a stock up of a stock up, Martin? What is better than that?
Exactly.
Even you as an aggro player has to appreciate that.
Oh yeah. Well, better than that is playing a stock up, getting another one, and then your opponent missing a third land drop. That is.
Yeah, that's kind of brutal. Oh, no third stock up though. How unlucky. How unlucky.
Who was the blue card?
I think it was a negate.
It was a negate. Okay.
Brought in negate.
I think that's a Day of Judgment, Sunfall land, and I think that's a land.
Yeah, I think that's one of those Verges. Oh, he's taking Day of Judgment. He has another land in hand. He took that with the first stock up, the Portico.
All right, checks the top card, bins an island, already has enough lands to play, and passes the turn.
His hand is very reactive right now, I have to say. So while Giordano is missing land drops, Daniele is sitting on a bunch of answers.
Doesn't have a way to punish him for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this might actually might not be that bad. It is bad, but not, you know what I mean? Like,
the Revenant made it into Giordano's deck, and despite the abilities not being super relevant against a mill deck, it is still a 3-mana 3/3. You still want to pressure the opponent and, you know, use your discard spells to make the game end as fast as possible before they can take over with the sieges and the monuments.
Yeah. Yeah, we see Paw Patch being cycled, sack the food, gain some life. I like that. He wants to find Jace, he wants to find Siege. He wants to find something that he can kill Giordano with, but just found 2 lands, I believe. But yeah, he's in a good position, of course, to having that incredible mana advantage.
Oh my god, how many turns has it been? At least Duress is a card you can play, but oof. Yeah, negate, protect your hand, don't give your opponent the information. At the end of turn, we're going to crack the food, so Daniela goes to 23.
I think he's actually at 26. I think our tool is not getting life over 20 right now, unfortunately.
Something else. We're going to fix that.
Working on that.
We're playing with different rules today. Nobody can go over 20. Yeah, Daniela really wants to draw that siege. He really wants to draw that River Turn Monument. 3 steps ahead is you know, a nice card to sit on at least. That's going to make sure that nothing resolves and you're going to get to dig deeper into your deck. Yeah, Daniel says hold on a little bit. Wow, he lets it resolve actually. Okay, valuing the counter spell.
Yeah, I guess he's deciding he has answers for the Preacher in other ways. But yeah, 3 steps ahead was a huge draw for him there. Like, there's no better. Like, it's Cryptic Command on crack, right? It draws 2, discards 1.
Yeah, it looks like now Daniela is getting perhaps a little flooded. But he is sitting on that 3 steps ahead that, hopefully finds more gas for him. So back to Giordano, who is finally able to start playing the 3 drops, which he does have a lot of them. He cannot play the Revenant, though. He does not have double black. That is the downside of running a lot of colorless sources. And 3 steps ahead is being used on Preacher here. There's the Monument, so yeah, we might see some action here from Daniela. We might see him start milling Giordano pretty quickly and then use the exhaust ability to put the nail in the coffin. That was a stock up from the top, not bad.
Yeah, that is
exactly what the doctor ordered.
Giordano's not feeling great here. I like how Daniela's really making sure to tap his mana well. Oof, yeah.
Yeah, this game's over. That's a good stock up. 2 counter spells. There's a Jace.
Can I have all of them?
That's 5 non-land cards.
Yeah, I get lost in there too. Oh, he's taking the negate. Okay.
He takes a negate and a Jace, in addition to already having the Monument. So yeah, I think he wants to play the Monument here and then sit on the negate or play another land, spend 3. Oh, let's see. No, Jace it is. Okay.
Jace for
he did have land drop. Okay.
Mana here. Choosing to go with that to draw some cards, perhaps.
So he does.
He's just plussing.
So he does value sitting on that negate.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, your opponent is kind of at the position where they can only play 1 spell a turn, so holding a negate certainly makes sense to protect the Jace. How about Unholy Annex? Negate says no, and Daniela is firmly in the driver's seat here.
This Ghost Vacuum is making at least the River Turn Monument a little worse. That's
true.
Definitely good for Giordano here.
Okay, and Daniela passes the turn back. Still no 4th land. Wow, and Giordano actually has to pass the turn because he doesn't have double black to play some of those cards. That is really unfortunate.
He's sitting on 2 Cruel Claws Heist he can't cast. He's putting the Blaster on 2 for the Monument. Let's go. Those are 2 map tokens, by the way, that scribbled white painted like self-made token on Giordano's side for anybody just tuning in. That's an Annex, and we're looking at 3 sweepers on the right end, so that Annex is going to sit, and we have to discard to hand size here.
Yeah, I don't think Daniel is too concerned with that, though. Mills 2 cards.
Yeah, it might just be a little too late here. I think going back to that stock up, alternatively, you could have taken stuff like 3 steps ahead, not played your Jace immediately. Like again, Daniel is running a little low on cards. He picked up the negate rather than the 3 steps ahead, but that might bite him down the line here. But Jace on 6 means already a mill for what, 18? Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle, that is for sure. But I don't think Giordano is quite out of it yet.
How many cards has he used this game though? Like I think we're approaching 20 cards.
Yeah.
Which would be roughly 40 cards in the library then. So yeah, that Jace is gonna start doing work.
That Jace is milling for 9. Is that what's happening? And in response, exile of the vacuum. Very, very heads up. Oh.
No, it was a -2 ability. So mill 3, draw card.
I thought it was on 6 loyalty. Oh, maybe I missaw.
Back to Giordano, who finally finds more land to play with. So he has a second black source, another black source in hand, looking at 2 copies of Archfiend of the Dross. And yeah, I think this makes sense. You just, you know, sometimes your only out is hoping that your opponent has 5 lands in hand.
Yeah.
And they're going to draw 3 more, right? And you have to play to your outs. He's not going to win by sitting around and playing discard spells or, you know, playing 3/3s instead of a 6/6. Just make the best play possible and hope that your opponent, you know, is going to get a little unlucky. Obviously, you know, the odds of Giordano winning here are insanely low, but you got to play to your out. So still better try it out than not. So he plays out the 6/6, obviously, that dies to the right end right away. Jay sticks up, and the turn is passed back to Giordano.
That's a funny hand from Daniele. He has 3 copies of Day of Judgment and a Sunfall.
Sunfall, all the sweepers in his deck.
I would say for Giordano, something I would, in his position, think about right now actually is also you could consider conceding for time reasons.
That is a great point.
He is playing in a way where it makes me think he's not really thinking about time right now. So it could be a slow matchup, but they still have 22 minutes on the clock, so it's like not
right
in the danger zone yet.
22 minutes is still definitely reasonable to, you know, try to win the game, but I love that point because this is a tournament where we're playing 8 rounds. 6-2 makes it to day 2. If you pick up a draw early in the tournament because you played slow or, you know, I hate seeing two aggro decks draw early. Like, how does a mono red, you know, aggro draw with prowess? Something was not
shady
right.
happened. They want to get into control.
Not shady, but sure. I mean, that's a thing you can do.
That does actually happen too. Yeah.
That's a thing you can do.
Not shady. It's actually allowed.
Right. But yeah, mind the clock and mind the fact that if you pick up a draw, that's almost like picking up a loss this early in the tournament because you really want those 18 points at the end of day 1. And if you have a draw instead of one of the wins, then you're still going to need to get 6 wins on top of that. So try to play fast and make sure the game doesn't unnecessarily end as a draw. There's a siege from Daniela. Teamer is the choice.
Yeah, another reason to concede. It's a minor thing because it's open deckless anyways, and so Daniele kind of knows what he's up against. But you could also conceal information. You could conceal information how you sideboard it.
Okay.
By conceding earlier. Now you're showing the second ghost vacuum. It's not really that important. There's the withering torment. Like Daniele knows about these things now. Yeah. But Giordano is a fighting spirit, laying it out. I think at this point in the game, there would need to be a miracle to happen for him to take this one down. Between Jace, the Siege, and the Riverturn Monument, I think this game is pretty much over. Yeah, there's a map token. I think it's Italian, self-made, with 2 Italian players facing off against each other here. That's the white scribbled card next to the Unholy Annex. 2 map tokens from Get Lost earlier cast.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Giordano has like 20 cards left in the library, around about that. Now he's going to cast a Crew Club Heist. Take a look at what Daniela's working with.
Thumbs up,
yeah.
Nice little smirk.
Daniela has his game face on for sure. There's no smirk on his side after revealing that hand. He's all in the zone right now. Archfiend of the Dross hitting the battlefield. It will get a drain in, but we all know it's going to die to one of those sweepers next turn. And yeah, Daniel is sitting. I think he was originally at 26. Again, off life total, we were working on that. Our life total tracker can't go over 20 right now, but Daniela, I think, is still over 20. It's like 24 or 22 or something like that. It doesn't really matter, to be fair. Yeah. Fabled Passage is the draw. The Jace minus 15 plus the River Monument should be enough here. I think Daniela is going through like 12 cards in the graveyard, and then the Jace milling 15 gets it up to 27, and then Monument mills for another 27, minus 1 Ghost Vacuum activation, which is 26. I do believe that is more than Mr. Di Stefano's library.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the concession.
So 1-1, back to the drawing board. Do you think this changes with now the mono black deck being on the play? Do you think that changes your plans at all?
I like the negate a little less from Daniel's side, because it's harder to counter the discard spells, and that leaves you with situations where Giordano can sort of duress you and then take your removal spells and just start on a Preacher and don't even play the Annex, wait with the Annex until the Day of Judgment comes down, take the removal spells, know about the negate, you know about it, it's easy to play around, especially when you have a wide variety of spells. He has a lot of creatures and he has only some non-creatures, so he can easily maneuver around the negate, activate his Soulstone Sanctuary or something like that in response. So I would maybe not be that high on those. I didn't see any Heritage Reclamations, so maybe he didn't bring those in, and he just brought in some negates for maybe some of those smites. From the mono black side, I mean, I think the way he did it looked good to me. I actually, there's a Filigree Silex also in the main deck that can blow up River Monument and the Siege. That's kind of interesting. That's probably going to stay there just as an extra blast zone effect.
And remember, we're watching 2 brews, but we're also watching, I think it was table 28. Both players are 3-0. This is not just a brew that, hey, we're just showing you this because it's cool. Both players are actually, undefeated in the tournament 3 rounds in. So
yeah, absolutely. And you have to qualify for this event. This is essentially the European Championship, the best players in Europe. Oh yeah. Most of them are here. Most of them are playing. So the competition is definitely tough, and we have 1,000 players in attendance. Day 1 is, it's going to be a little bit easier, but day 2, there's a lot of sharks in the water, that's for sure.
I also love that we're in Italy. The pizza's good, the people are friendly, the weather is nice. We get to hang out in Bologna. Yesterday, Simon posted in our chat that there is a Michelin star pizza place here in Bologna that sells pizza for like 12 euros. I really want to go check that out because that sounds really cool.
Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing. Simon actually said Bologna is his favorite city.
Okay.
I'm sure he's going to spit out some fun facts during the tournament, why he likes the city so much. I mean, I've been here a couple times too. More than a couple times, actually. There's been a countless amount of Magic tournaments here to this convention hall, Fiera Bologna. And the food is pretty amazing. I've been here with some friends from Hamburg, and we went to the same restaurants 3 times in a row. It was so freaking good. And just took almost the same stuff, like always carbonara, the usual. And yeah, Bolognese is from here, so
that's true. Yeah. One of the regional championships last season was in Naples. That's what pizza I think originally comes from. So that was also fun.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the Italian pizza is really good.
Oh yeah, for sure. 16 minutes on the clock. That should be fine to finish this game, hopefully. Ghost Vacuum again on turn 1. And a second Ghost Vacuum in hand. Oof, that's the second one you don't really want to see. That feels like a mulligan. The first one already feels like half a mulligan. I
was going to say, turn 1 island, that probably signals a hand that is little low on lands, because yeah, you typically want to start with the tap lands. And is that the Verge or is that a Surveillance? That looks like a Verge. It does look. I think the Surveillance would have been played. I think it's a Flood Farm Verge. I was actually thinking, if you do always play the Surveillance there, because there certainly were situations in the Temple format where you didn't always want to play the Temple on turn 1. Sometimes you wanted to either take a look at what your opponent was playing before you scried, or sometimes you were thinking, okay, I want to see my first draw step. This is a slow matchup. It doesn't matter if my second land comes into play tapped. So this is a slow matchup. Maybe I'll play my land with the Scry or Surveil effect on turn 2, because I want to have more information. I want to see if I already drew the third land, or if I'm looking for that land, or you don't always have to play these tapped lands on turn 1. Sometimes, in a control mirror or against a slow mid-range deck, there could be value in saving it for an extra turn or 2. But here we have Giordano on a discard spell. You know what I would have liked from Giordano to see here? He already had the Cruel Claws High as the second one coming up. I think a sweet play would have been to take the Jace with the first one, and then to gift with the second one, and then to take the stock up for yourself. Okay. That's something I would have done just out of spite, first and foremost. But also because it would have been a good play, I think. Because his hand is lacking card advantage right now. He has those demons, but he doesn't have a 4th land, so picking the stock up from Daniele would have been able to find him a 4th land here. So another 4-drop. Giordano slamming the table. He just that's frustrating. Feeling it. I mean, you prepare for this event. Is that 4 4-drops? Yeah, he has a 5. He has a speed demon. 2 Archfiend's demon and a Shield Dread. There's the land. Okay. Crisis averted. Like the extra turn, it might already be 1 turn too late, but better than never. So here comes the demon. Here comes the Archfiend of the draws. 6/6 demon. That would be some quick pressure, but he's not even picking up the oil dice. He's like, yeah, I know this is dying. Just show me how. Daniela's like, what do I use? Paw Patch? Do I use Get Lost? So Monument gets activated. You can see all deck lists on the Ultimate. I saw someone in chat on YouTube. You can see all deck lists when you go to MTG Melee and then find the tournament, regional championship. I'm not sure. Do we have a command set up? Yeah, also exclamation mark deck lists. You can also do exclamation mark event. That is going to let you visit the Fanfinity page where you can read everything about the event. If you're also thinking of visiting one of these in the future, you can check out the side events. You can check out, all the cool stuff that we have here going on. There's a bunch of vendors, artists. You can have your cards signed. Really cool side events as well. I like the last chance qualifying structure. I like that there's these 4-round flights. You can play multiple of them on Friday. So even if you come to this tournament and you're not qualified for the regional championship, you can grind in on Friday. You have multiple opportunities. This is a weird game. I mean, the Ghost Vacuum is really keeping that movement in check, and also exiling those demons can return them as 1/1 spirits sometime in the future. That could be dangerous. Yeah. I think I actually would have liked Giordano to put both under 1, because he wants to keep one around and crack the other maybe down the line. Okay. I'm saying. But minor thing. Unfortunately for Giordano, I mean, he has 2 more big threats coming up, Shield and Speed Demon, but Daniele has the perfect lineup. He has 2 more Get Lost and a Paw Patch. So you can just handle all those big, black, powerful creatures. But he doesn't have card advantage, right? He doesn't have a Jace. He just has that Monument going, which is a bit of a slow clock against the 60-card deck. Is there any consideration here to saving the Get Lost in case you untap and you draw the Glacierwood Siege?
He did it here in response to a map being cracked.
Okay.
Just preventing that extra card flow is probably a good reason.
That makes sense.
Otherwise, I do think that's a absolutely reasonable consideration you're making. There's a stock up, I think. Oh my god.
There we go. Best card in Daniela's deck.
Best card in standard, question mark?
Yeah. So that's a Jace. I think that was 2 sweepers, Right's End, and a land. What do you like here? Jay's got to be really...
Yeah, Jay's 100%, and maybe a Right's End. But he took the forest there, making sure he has another land to play. That's also pretty reasonable. He does have Get Lost and Sunfall, so he doesn't really need more white removal. Giordano on 1 card in hand. Daniela's got to be feeling great about this.
Yeah, the extra land, I'm not sure how many blue sources there are. I think there are 3. The extra land does allow you to possibly next turn play Jace for 4 and hold up the negate, so depends on how aggressively Daniela wants to play this.
Someone in Twitch is asking, it is open decklist indeed, yes.
It is, yes. The regional championships are, and the pro tours are always open deck lists. You get to sit down for the match, and you have a 3-minute window to look at your opponent's deck list. You can also look it up on MTG Melee if your phone is on the table and you're not looking up something else. And yeah, you just get to look what is going on in your opponent's list, and then the game begins. And there is a 50-minute timer that starts after those 3 minutes. You are allowed to make notes during the game, but not when you are consulting the deck list. So also keep that in mind. The Speed Demon makes an appearance.
We're going to get some speed here. Judge, hey, do you have a speed token? There it is.
Wow, okay, nice.
Let's go.
There it is.
So that card is going to draw a card at the end step for each speed you have. Get Lost is going to take it out, and Giordano is cracking up here. It's like, come on, bro.
How much removal do you have? I mean, to be fair, this is just not a great matchup for Giordano, right?
No.
He does have the discard spells, but you have all 3 and 4 mana threats, and that just plays right into the game plan of your opponent, which is winning with these slow mill cards and 2 mana removal at instant speed.
I think Daniela unintentionally used the Yavimaya coast here. We're on a slight delay. Oh, he's going to redo it. Okay, and that's fine, sure. So no damage taken. Has a negate to protect this Jace from a Shieldred's Edict. And Giordano's out of cards. Jace being plus. I think Giordano's going to bring back some of those creatures now.
Yeah, I mean, the Ghost Vacuums are doing really good work here. Really, stopping the Monument from maybe already having ended the game otherwise.
Unfortunately, though, that Sunfall will clear that Monument. Oh, he's not going to crack it. Okay. Well, he has some maps to crack, I suppose. 4 of them here. The Quasi-Revenant.
Well, you can put that in the graveyard, but yeah, as you said, lifelink and flying and death touch not particularly relevant in this matchup.
It's also everything he keeps on top will just get milled.
Right.
Keeping cards on top, I guess, is smart against the mill deck. Just don't help him. But he could have used some more maps if he wanted to make the Preacher a more sizable threat. Oh no, another stock up.
I think we're reaching a point where you can just minus XJs, that's 18 cards, and then Exhaust Monument, right?
Yeah, I think we're pretty damn close to it, if not already there. I think Giordano is looking to activate that Blast Zone. That's why he's not using those maps. He wants to put it up to 2, so he can blow up the Monument, perhaps. Yeah, it's looking grim for our Mono Black Demons pilot over here. Someone in chat is asking why we're not seeing Red Prowess. No, Red and Prowess are actually the 2 most played decks. They're both together 26% of the format, but
we're
gonna show them. We're on 4 of a long tournament. We have 14 Swiss rounds coming at today and tomorrow, and plus a top 8. So you'll certainly see some Prowess. They are well represented, but we wanted to showcase some of the sweet decks that are still undefeated in the tournament right now.
Exactly. Standard is not just Red. It's not just Gruul, Izzet, and Mono Red. There's a lot of other decks, and these players are 3-0 playing, 2 off-meta decks. So You know, again, shout out to Frank Karsten for sifting through the lists and picking these cool lists out of the 1,000+ players tournament.
I kind of want to see a Ghost Vacuum activation. I know it's not good enough, but at least let's bring some 1/1 versions of Shieldred, Speed Demon, Quasi-Revenant, and Archfiend of the Dross into play. It's a really sweet graveyard hate card where you just have that 6-mana ability onto it. I have to shout out, I don't know who, but I have to shout out the game designer behind it.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet Relic of Progenitus variant.
I mean, shout out to the playtest, you know, group at Wizards and the R&D team. I think they're doing a tremendous job. There's a Magic set coming out in every 2 months or something, and we always get a new limited format. We always get new abilities, new cool cards. And I don't think that's very easy to do. Like, it must be a super hard job. Obviously, you have 20 people that play test the set, and then you have millions of people that are going to play with the cards right away. So it's easy that something slips, and you have, oh, how could you print this? It's so good with this card or with that card. Their job must be really, really hard. And I think they're making Magic an incredibly entertaining game, despite the game being here for 31 years or something. And I think that's amazing.
I love the analogy of sort of continuous patching, continuous DLCing, which you see in other games, keeping other games alive that have been around for 10 years. Good examples like stuff from Paradox Interactive. Anyways, here with Magic, you also have that, right? You're just continuously improving and upgrading the game, which is awesome. And there we see a Jace activation.
Yeah, I believe that was -7, so that would be 21 cards getting milled from Giordano's deck, and there's also the Riverturn Monument. Something you can do in this situation, by the way, is you can oh wait, no, never mind. If Jace was an instant speed card, or if you could play the ability at instant speed, what you could do is you could activate the Monument first, and then respond by milling with Jace.
I see. Now the Blast Zone Destruction on 2 is on the stack, and in response, Daniel is going to activate the Exhaust. In response, we see I have a big stack right now. So Blast Zone trigger, Exhaust ability, and now we have Ghost Vacuum triggers on top of that Exhaust ability, resolving, exiling more of the graveyard, and then we have a little bit of an Exhaust just for free cards. The Vacuum really prevented that painful ability from the Riverturn Monument. But still 21 cards coming now. Is this already enough?
Even the counting is a little bit more on the slow side, but 3 minutes left.
Sweet time. Giordano certainly still has a curious face on him. Looks like he's still in the game. He's thinking about everything. I know myself personally how I would feel in a situation. I don't think I would keep that straight on the face still.
Yeah, I would be like, oh my god, playing it to nil. Why me? I brought this
cards left in library. Opponents had more than 20 life. He has 3 cards in library.
Okay.
Is he going to? I mean, if he wins this game, I would love it, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
2 more lands in hand. There's a Blast Zone. I think there was a Fountain Port as well.
If he had like magically appear 2 Duresses in his hand to take away the counterspell, and then to take away the Sunfall, then crack the Ghost Vacuum, put a ton of power into play, maybe he would get there. But the Speed Demon actually mills him a little sooner, so that's not optimal. Regarding what's on the top tables, I mean, it's early in the tournament. It's round 4. I think I haven't checked the standings right now, but like there's a lot of red and Izzet Prowess and various archetypes still in the undefeated brackets. We have a better picture of like what decks are really standing out in terms of win rates, I would say later in the day.
After day 1 is usually yeah.
We'll have Frank analyze the data after day 1 for you guys. It's such a blessing to have him on board, to have him in this crew. He's such a absolute the data genius, and he's going to bring us all that data.
I love how Frank has so many tools also for this. It's not just, he doesn't just go through every deck list himself. He has so many tools and scripts and algorithms that kind of just do it for him.
Yeah.
Which is really awesome as well.
His little minions at work for him. Okay, we have an attack. But what is happening here exactly?
I think we might be at the end of turn.
Yes.
One step ahead, being sort of cycled here.
Daniela playing very fast right now, going for the Glacier Witch Siege, casting a Stalk Up and winning the game.
There we go. Choose Teamer, and Stock Up is the play. Mill 4 cards and GG. So congratulations to Daniela. That was a cool deck, and he moves on to 4-0 with Bant Mill.
Can he be 8-0 at the end of the day?
I mean, that's not a deck I would pick as my choice to be, at the top of the standings after 4 rounds in a sea of mono red.
Yeah, you love to see it. You love to see it. He taking the win down here on the feature match with his own brew.
Yeah.
And isn't that the dream come true of any, competitive player? Awesome stuff.